How's it going, guys? It's time to talk more ACDC. I am Midnight Strike 3625, and today we're going to be talking 12 of the best. Now you may be asking yourselves, 12 of the best? I've never heard of that album, and that's because it doesn't exist. So why am I doing an overview on it? Well, there have been a lot of bootleg copies circulating the internet, as well as an official cassette tape that's been sold for a lot of money on eBay and such sites. So bootleg copies do exist, but as far as CDs, most of them are reproductions. So the reason I'm talking about this is because there is an interesting story behind the album, and it came out in 1978, or it was supposed to come out, I should say, because that's when they were actually compiling all these songs. Like I said, this is an album where they took 12 of what is considered to be their greatest hits at the time, put them on a CD back before the band basically said that they were an albums band as opposed to releasing individual songs as singles. So that's why they held out on iTunes for so long until about 2012, where they finally relented and released all their music on pay platforms such as that for online distribution. They used to be only a physical albums band, and I kind of respected their integrity for that, but I can see why they switched to a digital platform as well. So to get started, this album was supposed to have been released in 1978, and it featured 12 songs on them. And there's actually a version that must have come out after 1995 because there is a Ball Breaker track as a hidden demo. It's a demo for Hail Caesar, probably the opening, the intro, the beginning. It's a hidden track number 13, and it's called Caesar Salad. So I find that to be a little bit interesting. The 12 songs are It's a Long Way to the Top, High Voltage, Problem Child, TNT, Whole Lotta Rosie, Let There Be Rock, Jailbreak, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, The Jack, Dog Eat Dog, She's Got Balls, and Baby Please Don't Go. And of course, track number 13, the hidden track, Caesar Salad, on the versions that were released after 1995. It would have had to have been. Now, like I said, all of the versions of this album concept were released after 1978, and of course they are unofficial. All of them are unofficial, except for a couple of cassette tapes that have been circulating the internet and are highly collectible. So that's kind of why I'm talking about this, is because not a lot of people know about it. They were actually going to release a greatest hits album in 1978 after the release of their album Powerage, which actually happens to be my absolute favorite album by them. So it's kind of weird not to see any songs on that album, or from that album, I should say, on 12 of the best. So we have songs like She's Got Balls and The Jack, but we don't have Give Me a Bullet, we don't have Riff Raff or Rock and Roll Damnation, or maybe their best song, Gone Shootin', or one of their best songs. So 12 of the best already seems a little bit on the weaker side, but it does have some heavy hitters like Let There Be Rock, Whole Lotta Rosie, and TNT, and of course every other song on here, I suppose, with High Voltage and It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. So there are some very good songs on this concept of a record. It's not a concept album, it's an album concept. It was never actually officially released because instead they went with the idea of making a live album, and that's how If You Want Blood You Got It started. The live album that was actually recorded some months later in Glasgow and Apollo Theatre, 1978. I think it was in April or something, but I digress. So with the release of If You Want Blood You've Got It, 12 of the best was shelved, and it's really interesting to go back and notice what their attitudes about greatest hits albums were then and what they are now, or what they were about, 10 years ago, I should say. So with that, it's actually a pretty decent album concept, I must say, but the only thing is, for the time it would have been released, it would have been very disappointing not to have any Powerage songs. I mean, yes, I understand that Powerage came out in 1978, and this would have also been coming out in 1978, and they don't want to detract from the sales of Powerage, but it's an incomplete album without songs from Powerage. They should have at least put Sin City is another one they could have put. There are so many great songs on that album that could have been on here, but they didn't decide to put them on or include them. But alas, this album was never meant to be, and it never actually released or hit store shelves in an official capacity, but it is still interesting to go back and look at what could have been. So, this is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.